Hello everyone, and welcome to Jenn and I's Games and Culture final project.
For our final project, Chris and I decided to play Undertale.
We played the first part of Undertale separately, and decided to play the second part together.
The point of this project is to explore the question, how does user experience differ in Undertale when you play the game separately versus together?
So, after playing the first part separately, we decided to interview each other and check in on each other's experiences. Overall, I'd say it went pretty well. I like the game. I think the world is pretty charming.
For me, the game was really fun. I had a really enjoyable time. I am not like a person who considers himself a gamer, so for me, I think I kind of settled into that and really into the game. There was a lot of sections where I got really lost and really kind of frustrated because I wasn't sure how to pass a section, so I kind of pushed through a lot of difficulties as well.
Charming.
I would say fascinating. For me, it was very interesting because when I think of video games, I think of blood, gore, violence, and first-person shooters, I think is really what comes into mind for me. So this game, I was really surprised at how different it was and how it really is a different kind of game in that sense. It's not focused on violence, yeah, you can fight, but it's really about meeting monsters and befriending them and learning to kind of use communication skills like that.
I approached it very, exploratory, you could say. I was exploring every dialogue option, talking with everybody, picking up all the items, and storing them in my little box. I tried to leave no stone unturned, and it kind of took a long time.
My thought process was kind of to leave no stone unturned, because I really hadn't played the game and I haven't really seen any gameplay of it. I really had no idea what to do and where to go, which was really hard for me because when I play games, usually Firewatch will kind of direct me at what I should be doing with missions, but this one's so free form. So for me, I kind of went down every hallway and I did every single thing. I pressed enter on everything to see if it would pop up with something, just in case I didn't want to miss anything really.
Well, I found myself just smiling a lot to myself, and had a couple good laughs. I was basically just internally interacting with the characters.
The way that I interacted with Undertale, in the real world, is I definitely laughed a lot at it because it is very punny. It's kind of got a dad humor kind of style to it. So I did find myself kind of laughing and giggling. I also have to say that I felt I really became a part of the game, and because of that, I really felt involved and with the characters. So I guess you could say I started caring about them a little.
I did connect with the characters, and it was easy for me to focus on each character individually and kind of learn their personality and the context of the story.
For me, I really did start to feel connected to the characters, and mentally I kind of was thinking, along the way there are certain parts where I was ooh, it's a little scary, a little weird, especially when you kind of have this wetlands. It's the in-between place of the snow land or Snowden or whatever, and then the hotlands, because it felt really out of place. But there was definitely times where I was also kind of I found it very charming, and I found what people are saying very adorable and very genuine. So there was a lot of times where I was aw, that's cute. I really love this character now.
I think the game is special because it kind of has this innocence about it, and it talks about determination and friendship and a lot of things that people consider kind of cheesy.
I do feel this game is very special. I think it's very different than what we would usually expect for a video game, and I kind of think that it represents the future of video gaming. It doesn't all have to be I was saying before, first-person shooter, violence, and blood and gore. It can be something genuinely sweet and a little didactic. The game did make me feel special. I like attention, so when it was when Papyrus would hit on you, I was okay, I'll let this happen. I think the game kind of also treats you very well as user, which is a little different because usually in games you're given tasks and missions, which you have in Undertale, but it also is kind of helping you discover your own ability to love other people and other characters as well.
At different points, the game made me feel happy amused, a little bit like a kid, I guess you could say.
So I guess this game made me feel very, like, pretty happy. It's kind of like I said, it's a very adorable, and you kind of are playing it and you're like, oh, that's cute. Like, I don't have to fight this person. I can, like, tell them a joke or tell them a smile or hum or something, and they react, and then they're like, oh, okay.
Definitely a lot through dialogue. There's a lot of expecting one thing to happen and then the complete opposite happens. I think in that regard, it kind of builds the world as, something you're not used to. It's not something you're used to experiencing in a game or in life itself, I guess.
The Game Maker, for me, really drew me in because of the unique environment that you're placed in. So you're placed in something that, like, is really different from what we experience in real life. Like, you're in a pit and you're trying to, like, talk with monsters and like, things that you wouldn't obviously have in real life. So because of that, like, unique environment, this unique context, it really drew me in. And the characters are, like, really lovable. They're almost like what we are as humans. They have, like, big intentions, but they have flaws and they're not perfect. I think it was really hard to make decisions by myself. I think I'm an indecisive person, so I was kind of like, is this the right thing that I should be doing?
I think the most challenging part was the boss fight with Undyne.
I think for me, the hardest part was actually figuring out, like, the piano riddle, and then basically realizing that the piano riddle, you open the door and then you, like, get the artifact, and then the dog steals the artifact, so it was all for nothing. So I think that was the hardest part, because I think for me, I was like, oh, I put in all this work for, like, figuring out this puzzle, and I thought that was going to be, like, this big, like, reveal or something. I thought that was going to get me to the Hotlands, but no. It just was to an artifact that I didn't even get to keep. But I'm hoping that appears later. I don't know.
Not necessarily. I hold my own pretty well. I'm enjoying the game as it is. I think just the experience will change a bit.
I think that it'd be easier in some respects to play the game with someone else, because especially when you're making decisions or trying to figure out how to, like, beat one of the monsters in, like, a fight, I think that, like, having two brains for those would be a little easier than one. I do think that there are going to be times where we may disagree, and Chris and I may have different ideas for what we should do, but I think that we're both like, adults and we work together well, so I don't think that'll happen too much.
Well, in class, I know a lot of people played the game, and for one of the projects we did, and I got kind of snippets and tidbits of what it was about from there, and I had also seen a little bit of gameplay, so I think that had an influence on what to expect.
So after we played the first part of Undertale separately, we decided to play the second half together. And so now Chris and I are going to ask each other questions about our experience that we had playing Undertale together. So the first one, let's see. How was your experience playing the game with someone else?
Horrible. I'm just kidding. No.
Terrible.
It was certainly different. We didn't make any formal rules or anything, like in terms of switching off or like who's playing or any policy in terms of helping each other. Yeah, that being said, what points did it feel like work? Or, did you feel that when you were playing single player at all? Or were you just kind of like immersed in the game?
I was pretty immersed in the game when I was playing by myself. Mainly because I think I was so like focused and determined to get to the like point that we decided that I was like, gotta crank through it.
Yeah.
But I think like with the second half, we were able to like loosen up a little bit and be like, and just kind of fool around a little bit and joke. And yeah, I think it's like a different experience when you have someone sitting there and you like can laugh at the same jokes or like be like, ha ha ha, get it. Like,
yeah, exactly.
I think that I really hope we should do this, but I think I quoted like a Vine almost every single time something happened. So I think that was like an interesting like intertextual thing, I guess you could say. Like,
so overall, how did we approach this section in terms of switching, helping each other, commentary? I know we mentioned that we didn't establish any formal rules, so can you describe? Can you describe kind of the rhythm we fell into?
Yeah, we fell into a pretty easy rhythm. Like, not every save. I think sometimes like some of the saves are pretty quick after another. So like we kind of would be like, oh, you can keep playing like if you want more. So like, and we would help each other Chris doesn't need a lot of help. I think there was only one time where I tried to help him and he was like, oh, shut up. where he had like some like weird arrow jumping thing that he got stuck like kind of doing. And I kind of figured it out, and I was kind of trying to let him like kind of do it. But then I was kind of like, and then he figured it out. But we also like, you helped me a lot with a lot of stuff. I don't know.
What?
There was the puzzle, the boxes. So like there's this puzzle where you have to like shoot the opposing ship. The first time I did it on accident without reading the instructions.
Mm-hmm.
I just like was like, what does this do? Enter, and then it like killed it, and I was like, cool, what? Like
You solved the puzzle.
I solved the puzzle, didn't even try, and so Chris was like, this is what you're trying to do, and I was like, oh, okay, cool. And that was another thing that we were gonna ask each other is like, did we tip each other off to anything? Like I attempted that one. Chris tipped me off a lot to a lot of stuff. He'd be like, that looks interesting.
Like, some dialogue cues.
Yeah.
Or like the tutorial thing at the end.
Oh yeah.
If I had put that together.
And Chris like definitely helped me understand the plot a little more in that. But was there anything infuriating that was it hard to watch me play sometimes because I'm so bad at gaming? You can answer
honestly, no. Not really.
Yeah.
It was kind of funny to watch you play against Metaton, though. The legs just kept smacking you in the face.
I just like barely understood that.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah,
So
did I surprise you by any skills? Was I better than you thought I was gonna be?
Yeah, sometimes. Sometimes you would like just like your little acrobatic heart just wriggle out of a situation like flawlessly.
Yeah.
Did your body language change, or just in general with each other, interacting with the computer?
Yeah, I think my body language when I first was playing it, like I had headphones in and I was very like me and the computer, like no one, like I didn't interact with like my outside world a lot. Mm-hmm. I think when playing with you, like opened up a little bit and like relaxed, like I was able to like kind of be more aware of like my surroundings, but also be more involved in the game. I think like having like someone there with you, it's almost like what they say for running, like when you're supposed to go running, you're supposed to go running with a friend.
For sure. My body language definitely changed.
Yeah.
A lot. Instead of sharing the screen like with yourself, you kind of have to open up a bit, and you're like farther away from the screen, and you even change the angle at which you look at it and the way you're on the keyboard.
Yeah.
Like, I remember at one point, like some of the keys were far away, so I like doubled up over my fingers for the last boss fight. You remember? So that changed, and
that's like an interesting like body language change, like changing ultimately how like you play and like you know how quick you can hit the keys, like all because like you're playing with someone else was really interesting. And like I mean I think that's another thing that like I definitely changed up techniques a lot. Like I think I used more of like the keyboard shortcuts when I was with you because I was like we really don't. The dialogue wasn't like a really big priority for us, so we were kind of like enter X, like skip text or whatever.
Yeah.
So yeah, I
definitely think the body language that comes along with that, like being farther away from the screen, you're not as glued to the world.
Yeah.
Instead of me and like during solo play, instead of me and the characters in the world, it kind of felt more like you, me, and the game. The meta thing at the end, that was kind of a gimme.
Yeah, and the meta thing at the end was really trippy.
Yeah.
it was a lot. Like, yeah.
See, I had seen some of that gameplay before, so I was expecting that. But
yeah. For me, that like came out of like left field. I was like, I wasn't like a huge fan of that. We don't really have to.
It made me uncomfy.
It did. It was really stressful and weird, but yeah.
Yeah, I was there to help you interpret it, and you were there to help me see it like the way I saw it the first time. So I thought that was cool.
Is playing separately and playing together even comparable? Are we even able to compare that? Because they are such different contexts that, like, is it even fair to ask if they're comparable? Like, if we can compare the two, I guess would be.
Yeah, I don't think they're that comparable, even though it's kind of our objective here to compare them. I didn't necessarily enjoy one over the other. Were you as devoted to the characters as you were during solo play?
Like a theory, a hypothesis is like maybe we didn't connect with the characters as much as because we were having our own dialogue. Like we didn't need to get like our social substance from these characters on the screen. Like we were together joking along the way.
Like Dr. Alfie's.
Yeah, I think
watching through the screen, the human the whole game.
I didn't like their relationship at all. It was so stalkerish. Like when Chris would play, he would like lead on Dr. Alfie, and I'd be like, "Don't respond, not talk." Like I was like, "Nah, fam." But I think that was like one of. I think like last time what I was saying is I think like we may have disagreements, but we're adults and we'll work through it. Like I truly like didn't really care. Like it wasn't going to change the game, I don't think, too much. So I think like that was one of the only times that I was kind of like,
Cool. So it's not like we were possessive of it. Like we recognized it as like a little game.
Yeah, it wasn't like yours or mine game. It was like a game that we were doing together. It was like our game. It was something that we were doing. It's almost like when you watch a TV show with like someone, like it becomes your show. It was like our game. Like it was something that like in the end was both of our experience. And so I think we were both really open to like what the other person wanted and like what we thought would be best. If one of us was kind of like I think we would speak up about it and like talk about it. How did the game make you feel, Chris?
I don't think the game itself or like the narrative within the game made me feel as much as during solo play. I think it served as a catalyst for our interaction and thus a catalyst for feelings. I feel like some of the memories are a bit more vivid because you're actually interacting with another person.
Yeah.
So you take like more concrete memories away with you.
Yeah.
Rather than
just like the concept of finishing.
Yeah.
You remember like the exact moment, yeah.
So, how did the game maker try to draw you in and create a sense of place or develop the characters? Did your I know we answered to the first part.
Yeah.
Did your perception change in the second part at all?
I think that the way the game maker drew me in the second half was a little different. I think like we were saying, the first half has like this very charming like village kind of world to it. But the second half is really, I feel like it drives mainly on competition and like kind of like your desire to like finish, and like that's how the game maker really drew you in. Like you're really following action to action to action. The first half I feel like maybe was a little slow, but the second half was like really like putting you into the next thing and the next fight and the next whatever to like get to the end. And I think the sense of place was really different in this one too. Like I was saying, like there was like nice like concrete villages, not like villages made of concrete, but like there was set environments that you knew, like you had Snowden and you had the Hotlands, but with this one you just had like faceless elevators and like assorted things. It felt very,
the lab and the hotel were basically the only places.
It felt very detached for me.
So what was your favorite part in this section?
I think my favorite part in this section had to have been the part where it brings in the whole like meta game kind of thing where it like shuts your game down and all of that. It reminded me a lot of the book we read for class by Stephanie, I think Bullock, and then Patrick Lemieux, their metagaming book.
Yeah.
Like there is like a lot of things that it was reminding me of, and like that situation reminded me of like our metagaming assignment as well. And like I really wasn't expecting it in Undertale, which is why I was kind of like, oh. So I think for me, like that helped me realize that like there are meta games like that, like that are easily accessible. Like you don't really have to work hard to kind of get that.
Yeah.
So that was like my favorite part. But you said that you thought it was going to be harder to make decisions or to play this game with someone else. Did our experience live up to what you thought it was going to be?
I'll just say yes. That's mainly what I expected. Yeah. I could tell sometimes you had a section that was like medium length, and like it was only like really the only section I remember it being hard to gauge whether it was appropriate to switch off or not.
Yeah.
And I could tell you wanted to keep going, so I kind of had to.
And I think that's another thing is like we're able to like read each other's like body language and social cues, and like I think that also like is what set the tone for our game experience, like because I think both of us really open to the idea of playing together and like having this interactive like collaborative like experience. It kind of wasn't hard to like give each other space, but also like know that we could step in if someone was getting like kind of tired. Yeah.
Do you think the fact that we were doing this for a project changed the way we interacted with the game at all?
There was definitely moments where like when it got to the flowy or the flower part, or whatever the flower's name is.
Flowy.
That like you were like, oh, like this is like metagaming, and I was like, oh yeah, and then I was able to like realize that more and connect those into my brain. Yeah. So I think that like there was parts of it that was nice that it's connected to a class because it gave us structure and form and kind of like things to guide ourselves off of.
The big question, in your opinion, how does user experience differ when Undertale is played separately versus together? You know, one of them is body language gets looser, more open, it seems like.
Yeah.
It probably has something to do with, you know, it might be different if you played with a stranger or something like that, but you know, in terms of this project, body language, when you play with someone else, it's more relaxed, open. You know, you have to reach farther, turn the key, interact with the machine itself differently. It is less about the narrative and more about the game and just playing it and kind of having a good time. And also what you take away.
Yeah.
Like it's, we said it's a bit more concrete. Yeah. Thank you all for watching, and hopefully we gleaned a little bit of insight into what it's like to play solo versus multiplayer. I don't know if what we learned is obvious or not, but I don't know. Maybe putting it out in the open will
spark further conversation and further intrigue and analysis into this area of study.
Perfect. Did you rehearse that?
No.